Even though we live close by, we don't get to downtown Seattle very often. So we check into the Four Seasons in the early afternoon, so we can be tourists in our own hometown. The Pike Place Market is close to the hotel. And of course, we have to make a pilgrimage to the original Starbucks store. Back at the hotel, we join our fellow travelers for cocktails and dinner. Richard introduces us to the TCS team that will be taking care of us for the next 3 weeks. We enjoy the sunset over Elliott Bay and hit the bed. It'll be a long day tomorrow. After breakfast, we're off to Boeing Field to board our jet with a brand new all-black paint job. Soon we're flying over the Boeing Renton plant, which happens to be where our 757 was built. After a stop in Anchorage for fuel, we're headed to Kyoto, Japan, where the adventure begins. We land at Osaka's Kansai Airport. It's about an hour from the airport to Kyoto, through forests and suburban landscapes. We arrive at our hotel. Our first impression is how Japanese it is. From the bonsai by the elevator to the garden outside our window. But the 10-hour flight and the time change have taken its toll, and we fall into bed. We're out with the school children in the morning, waiting for our bus to take us on a city tour. Our first stop is Kinkaku-ji. It's one of the most popular temples and gardens in Kyoto. And we are not alone. Several school groups. Kinkaku-ji translates to the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. This is the Golden Pavilion. The original 15th century structure burned in 1950. The reconstruction dates to 1955. The pavilion sits over Mere Pond, which contains 10 small islands that represent famous places in Japanese literature. The garden design dates to the Muromachi period in the 14th to the 16th century, considered to be the classical age of Japanese garden design. Our next stop is Tofuku-ji, one of the 5 great Zen Buddhist temples of Kyoto. It was founded in 1236, but the temple was burned and then rebuilt in the 15th century. The main gate is especially revered because it is the oldest of its kind in Japan. But the real attraction here are the gardens. The hydrangeas, which are native to this area, are in their full glory right now. I'll bet the garden in fall colors is just spectacular. And then there's the amazing moss garden. Our next stop is Sanjūsangen-dō Temple, which literally translates to the hall with 33 spaces between columns. The building is 390 feet long and 54 feet wide. The building dates to 1266. The reason the building is so big is to house 1,001 statues of the 1,000-armed cannon and 28 guardian deities. The temple is flanked by gardens and a Shinto Shrine. Nothing like Japanese temples and gardens to work up an appetite. We feast on traditional Japanese fare, highlighting tofu, a specialty of the Kyoto area. After lunch, for a change of pace, we're visiting a Shinto shrine, Fushimi Inari. The main gate is guarded by foxes, holding the keys to the rice granary. A Shinto priest makes an offering to Inari, the rice god. This shrine is famous for its Torii Gates. Inari is traditionally the patron god of business, so businessmen have donated Torii Gates to assure their success. The inscriptions identify the donor and the date of the donation. The gates stretch all the way to the top of the mountain, also called Inari. People buy these wooden fox heads and write their wishes on them, and the priests pray for them. Students come here to pray for good luck on their tests. Since it's all about rice, we stop at a sake brewery. An interesting and informative museum explains the brewing process, and we have a taste of the final product. Now it's cocktail time at the Fortune Garden restaurant. At dinner, we're entertained by a trio of koto players. This morning we're in Nara, the capital of Japan, from 710 to 794. Our first stop is Kasuga, a Shinto shrine established in 768 and rebuilt several times. First, we must wash our hands and mouth in a ritual ablution. The way to the shrine is lined with over 3,000 stone lanterns. Deer are considered messengers of the gods, so they roam freely and unafraid. The shrine itself is decorated with bronze lanterns. Here, the wooden prayer placards are deer heads. Visitors feed the deer, and they can become a nuisance. But they are kind to children and tolerant of tourists with a selfie obsession. Torii-ji is a Buddhist temple complex. The first construction here was in 728. The great southern gate seen here was built in the end of the 12th century. Then you have to go through the inner gate. And there it is, the Great Buddha Hall. The current building was finished in 1709. Up until 1998, it was the world's largest wooden building. Inside, the Great Buddha is 52 feet tall and weighs 550 tons. The Buddha was completed in 751. It's been recast several times, mostly due to earthquake damage. The current hands date to the 17th century. The 16 deceptively small Buddha images in the halo behind the Great Buddha are each 8 feet tall. It's lunchtime again, and we're in the garden of Emperor Kamu's imperial palace, circa 794. We're having Shabu Shabu. It starts with artfully arranged vegetables, which you drop into a pot of boiling water. Next is an artfully arranged platter of beef. And into the pot it goes. When it's done, transfer to your bowl and enjoy.
Sirloin? It seems too tender to be sirloin.
We're taking a break from shrines and temples this afternoon. We're back in Kyoto at Nijo Castle. It was completed in 1626. The Ninomura Palace houses the living quarters of the shogun. It features nightingale floors that chirp, a security measure against ninja assassins. The Ninomura Gardens are next to the palace. There are 2 concentric rings of fortifications, each with a moat. A few well-placed gates add to the fortifications. We're back on the road this morning. Back to Osaka and Kansai Airport.